Hey guys, we took a quick lunch break and we're back. I was able to take about 3 winning trades off stream. We are down now only $718. So we are crawling back steadily here. Okay, 800 is our next area of interest here. Let's see how price reacts. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. Looking for a short here if we get it. All right, we got stopped out. We are going short again. All right. Maybe third time is the charm here. Okay. Would like for this thing to flush down. Okay, there we go. Let's keep going. All right. This is a bullish signal here. All right, good. See if we get another reversal here. Nope. So the trigger was at the bottom of the blue candle. Okay, let's see, Doug. Which one are you talking about? Okay, so let's take this one right here. You see how we have a bunch of bearish bricks, and then we have 3 or 4 bearish bricks touch or go slightly below the T line. My trigger is, it's gonna be, for my first signal will be here. It went lower, so I moved it to here as my buy order, my stop order to buy, and then it went here, and then it went here, and this one finally triggered to go up. So in this case, we're looking for that exact same scenario down here at the 800. We're looking for it to go and touch 800 or go slightly below 800 and stay sort of hovering there, and then we're going to take that trigger to go back up. And so this is exactly what happened with the price here. It went down, tried to continue down, it stopped, it reversed. We got triggered in here, and our stop loss is 1 tick below this wick down here. And we got our 8 points. We're looking for that similar look here when we come back to 800. We're looking for some of these bearish bricks to touch 800, but not continually go down. Kind of stop halfway through like they did back here on these 1233 candles, and we get that signal to go back up. And so my order would look like this. My order would have looked like this. Buy it above 1 tick above this candle if it triggers higher, and it did, and it took, and my stop loss would be down here. I hope that answers your question. I might just do a video on what constitutes a proper trigger on the Renko. I am trying to explain it as I go along, obviously, on these streams. Each one of these bricks is how many points? Let's see, 92 to 89. They're 3. But your stop loss and your trigger are going to be 1 tick above and below. So you add a perfect entry. You're risking 3.5 points, maybe 4. And sometimes you won't get that perfect entry. But yeah, your stop loss is typically going to be around that 4-point range, which is $80 when you're trading the NQ, because for 1 point is $20. So you're risking 80 to make 160. And the math does work in the long run. We just ran into a streak of loser after loser after loser, which, you know, from a probabilistic perspective, that also will happen from time to time, right? But in the long run, I know this system works. So as long as you can protect your account, not go on tilt, not oversize, not do anything stupid, just stick to the system, the numbers will start working in your favor. So we were down as low, I think, as $1,200 today. And now we're only down $731. So we're climbing up. And we're going to probably get a lot more opportunity in the afternoon, especially if Trump is going to speak at 1 o'clock. You might start seeing these Renko charts move very fast. If they move too fast, I might just wait and see how the market sort of plays out and then start entering trades again. But right now, let's just say we have $732 of loss, right? If we can catch 5 winners in a row, we'll be green for the day. So since there's no lines, where would the next trigger up be? Okay, good question. One of 2 areas. Either it'll come back down to a level of interest, and a level of interest is going to be these 100 levels, these 50 levels, the T line, or the standard deviation levels. And then I want to see how does price behave at these key levels. Typically, usually, not always, you're going to get some form of a bounce at these levels. In this case, we're looking for a bullish bounce. If it comes back to 800, we want 800 to hold, because the idea here is you're looking for the bulls to defend 800. And it's also a potential area where a lot of buy orders are also waiting down here for people to get in to continue the move higher. That's why 800 is considered a key area, a key level. Same thing with the opposite side of the coin, all the way up here at 850. We're also near this standard deviation level here, this dotted blue line. We would be looking for a bearish bounce. Then the idea here is there's a bunch of bears that are waiting up here that have their sell orders to short the market, or all the bulls that were taking their trades going up, they're looking to take profit around 850 or around that standard deviation level. And so how do bulls exit their trades? They exit their trades by selling, right? They're selling their position. And how do bears enter their trades? They enter their trades by selling to open. So then if you have more selling action up here around 850, which I believe is the next area of interest, you should see a bearish bounce to the downside. So that's the premise. That's the premise behind this system. Where are those key levels where either bulls or bears are waiting to bounce the opposite direction? So we would call that a reversal, right? And if I'm wrong, I don't really want to be super wrong. I see people who try to take reversals and they have these huge 20, 30, 40 point stops. And I'm like, okay, well, you're risking too much money. It's okay to be wrong. In fact, you're going to be wrong quite a bit in the system, but the way you remediate that is that your winners are always going to be bigger than your losers. And if you be patient enough and wait for these key areas, more often than not, you're going to get the bounce that you're looking for. And that's how the system essentially works in a nutshell. And since price is moving really slow right now, like I'd be more than happy to answer any other more specific questions you might have. So right now, because we're not in any key areas, we're kind of in no man's land. We're really waiting for price to come back down to 800 and get that bounce up, or go up to 850 and get that reversal down. We're indifferent to which direction we want to go, because we're hoping that once price reaches a key area, it will reverse the opposite direction for at least 8 points, which is what you're looking to take profit on. Now, another way you can also trade the Renko, but I don't. If you're in a bullish trend, which we were here, you would basically try to only trade the bullish trigger off of every pullback. So here's an entry higher, pullback, every entry higher, pullback, entry higher, pullback, entry higher, pullback, entry higher. You get the idea. The problem then becomes if you start getting stuck in areas like this where you might get chopped up. But this would be an example. We're in a bullish trend. We got a pullback. We made the 8 points. Pullback. We didn't make. I think we would have gotten stopped out at break even if we would have entered here, because we got stopped out down here. This would have been your next entry to go higher. I don't know if I want to continue trading in that fashion. If the market is moving and it's fluid and you're getting legitimate pullbacks and moving forward, then I think you can trade that system. But when price acts as slow as it is right now, it's better to just wait until you actually get to a key area, because in those key areas, you're assuming volume is going to increase because people are going to be stepping into the market. With 8 and 4 ratio, you should be able to absorb 2 losers per 1 winner. That's correct. So the way the math works is you only have to be right greater than 33% of the time, or 1/3, in order for you to be profitable. And I believe that if you actually wait until you get down to those key areas, you're going to have a 60% chance of it working. Now, today we saw the opposite. We were on the opposite end of that. It didn't work more often than it did. That's why we were negative on our P&L today. But you trade the system often enough, and it's the law of averages over the long run, it will work. You just want to be able to have enough capital. You don't want to be risking too much to where you don't have enough money to continue to realize your equity over the long run. What does that mean exactly? It means like I'm only risking $80 a trade. Imagine if I was risking $200 or $300 a trade. With this system, I probably would have blown up this eval already. And remember, the eval only has $2,500 a drawdown. And so I have to keep that in mind. So I have to trade a size that allows me to be wrong multiple times and still have money to trade with, to realize my long-term equity or my long-term profitability using the probabilities that should work in my favor over the long run. So then trading becomes an exercise of really a marathon. You're not looking to sprint, you're looking to survive over the long run. So you got to make sure you're not, I don't know if you've ever ran cross country or watched people do it, or even when you're watching people in the Olympics that are running these longer distances, they're pacing themselves. They're not gonna, as soon as the start of the race happens, you don't see people sprinting right at the get-go, right? They're kind of taking their time. They're pacing themselves. They know that they have, or even people who run marathons, they know they have, 20 plus miles ahead of them, right? So they're not just gonna hit the ground running as soon as that race starts. So it's kind of the same thing here. We're trying to predict where we think price is going to reverse, and we're going to risk very little if we're wrong. And if we're right, we're rewarded with twice as much as what we would be wrong. And so the idea here is, let's just break down 3 trades, right? First one is a loser, second one is a loser, third one is a winner. Well, now you're back at break even. And then let's just say you take 3 losers in a row, loser, loser, loser. The fourth one is a winner. Well, now you are slightly negative. And then the next one is a winner. Now you're positive and you're green. So with a prop firm account, you start with 2,500. Yeah, my drawdown was 2,500. You subtract the $731 loss from today. So basically, I have about $1,700 of drawdown. That is correct. Now, if I can get back to green today, my drawdown would go back up to 2,500. And they also, this is how they make it hard. It's a lot like the carnival games in, the ones that you see that seem close to impossible to win. Prop firms, they put rules in place to make it really difficult for you to win. But if you become a disciplined trader with a really consistent system, you can put the odds in your favor. And one of the things that they implement to make it harder is something called a trailing drawdown. So let's just say we end the day today positive 500 bucks, okay? My drawdown is still going to be $2,500 from the peak of what my account was at profitability. So what does that mean? So our account size today was at, I think, 50,500 when we started. If we're up 500, that means we're up at 51,000. Well, now I can't go below 48,500. Even though we've made more money, that drawdown trails you. Now, the good news is when you finally get a paid account and you go above $2,600 in profit, that trailing drawdown stops trailing you, and whatever money you make post $2,600 is unlimited, uncapped. There's no trailing drawdown at that point, which is where you want to be when you're trading your PAs. And you can build a nice cushion that way as well. All right, we're getting a potential signal to go north here. Again, this is an area where I think price wants to bounce. It looks like it's bouncing. We got in because that's my hypothesis, right? You're getting that move higher. And if we're wrong, we lose about 4 points. What happens if I made $2,500 today? I would pass the eval. It would be at 3,000. And I don't trade that account anymore because now I hit my target of $3,000. And I stopped trading it because I'm going to convert that account after 6 p.m. tonight into a paid account that I'll trade tomorrow for real money. But let's just say that same question. Let's just say you made $2,500 with your paid account. They have something called, this is where the rules get a little bit complicated. They have something called the 30% consistency rule. They don't want you to have one day become a huge outlier, one direction or the other. They don't want you to risk more than 30% of your account in any one trade. And they also don't want you to make more than 30% in one day. Because what happens when you get your paid account is you're trying to get your account up above 2,600, and you got to trade for a minimum of 8 days. That's in your paid account. Now, in an eval, there is no minimum. You can pass your account in one day if you wanted to. But in a paid account, the rules are a little bit stricter because now you're trading for real money, right? And so they want to see you trade consistently over a period of 8 days. And if you want to take a payout, your account needs to at least be $2,600 or above. So if you have a day where you make $2,500 in one day, you've essentially you can't get that payout after 8 days because you've broken that 30% consistency rule. So now you have to take that $2,500 divided by 0.3, which is 30%. And now you need your account to go all the way up to $8,333 in order for you to take a payout. So you don't want to get to the point where you're making too much money. You want to get to the point where you're consistent. And so a nice number that I found that you should be aiming for in your PAs is somewhere around $400 to $800 a day. And that's still pretty good. Now, remember, the idea is to get your paid accounts to a point where you're taking payouts. And with those payouts, you buy more evals and trade more accounts. And so now your goal could still be $400 a day, but let's just say now you're trading 3 other accounts or 4 other accounts for a total of 5. Now you're making, 400 times 5, you're making $2,000 a day. without needing to actually make 2,000 on one account. You just break it up into your other accounts. And that's where the real magic happens, and that's where the real potential for an insane amount of profitability to start coming your way if you have a system where you can replicate it and you use something called a trade copier that allows you to trade your accounts simultaneously. Now you're able to make some really good money. So like, for example, I'm showing you guys this eval that we're trading right now that's currently down $679. You guys can see that in the top left of your screen. But I'm also simultaneously trading 2 or 3 other accounts alongside with it, some of my PAs. We're getting another potential setup here if we can touch this. Yes, I trade them in groups of 3 or 4, depending. That way I also there's a multitude of reasons why I do that. One, you've seen technology issues happen the last 2 days, right? I've had crazy days where I've gotten into trades and for whatever reason I can't get out of them. They won't honor my stop loss, and those are very rare, by the way, but I would lose thousands of dollars because the trade just wouldn't get me out, and blown up some accounts that way. And again, technology, couldn't do anything about it. And so I told myself I cannot be risking all those accounts at once. That's just too much money. And so I break it up. And then another thing, and one of the other things I protect myself is my own emotional state, which is my emotional capital. My own emotional capital. If I get to the point where I start going on tilt and doing stupid things, I don't want to be risking all of my accounts at once when I'm in that state. So in order to protect myself, I divide these accounts in multiple groups. So at this point, does it have to go through the line? It either has to touch it or slightly go through it, Doug. In this case, it went through it. It gave us that signal to go higher, but it was a stop loss. So I do have strategies on how to actually trade multiple accounts, what you can do. You can also have one account that can get double or triple dipped across groups B, C, and D. And the advantage there is, let's just say you have a weaker account that you want to be able to bring up to speed, have that account catch up. Well, you can certainly do that by having that one account being traded in Group A and Group B and Group C potentially. So now you're yeah, now it goes. Yeah, it happens. But yeah, the cool thing about trading multiple accounts is there's so many different things that you can do in terms of account management, risk management, and trade management, to have you still make a decent amount of money but not put all of your accounts at risk. We do have Donald Trump speaking in about 1 minute. When you have people who are speakers, It's a little bit different than, say, CPI news, because it's not a number that is coming out. It's not a result of a report. It's just them talking. And so that volatility can be continuous throughout the entirety of their speech. It's not just a one-time event where you get this huge volatility spike in the market. You can get a period of time where it becomes volatile. So it'll be really interesting to see what the market's going to do starting, in about 8 seconds or so. And he's going to start speaking, and then we'll see how the market behaves. So you see where my buy order is? I'm just waiting for it to break here. If it wants to break. If it doesn't break, we don't take the trade. Okay, so it broke to the upside. And then your stop loss is one tick below that reversal candle. And then as soon as this goes up to 5 points, my stop loss automatically moves to break even, and it trails the bricks all the way up. So you're seeing that now. Stop loss is trailing automatically, and then we're about to hit 8 points there. We missed it by a tick. Let's see if we can continue going higher here. Yes, I follow the tops of the bricks down 3 or 4 until it triggers up. That is correct. Yeah, that's one of my favorite features of NinjaTrader, Doug, is what's called the ATM strategy. And ATM stands for, I think, automatic trade management. All right, we got our 8 points there. So now we're only down 620 bucks. Climbing out of this hole. And there's different ATM strategies depending on what you're trying to trade as well. Like I have a completely different ATM strategy for when I'm trading the tick charts. And then I have a very specific ATM strategy that I have for trading the Renko. Yeah, you got to follow your rules. Otherwise, if you start deviating from your rules, you're giving away your long-term edge in the market. If you really believe that your system is profitable in the long run, but you start making some modifications here and there in the middle of a trading day based on how you feel, then the math is just not going to work out in the long run. And I'm guilty of that sometimes. Now, the cool thing is having a stream like this, showing you guys how I trade in real time, having you guys ask questions, and I know that you guys want to learn, it actually increases the accountability on my part. Like, I want to be putting on my best foot forward for you guys to see how these systems work. And in a way, it forces me to have to follow my system, because if I start deviating from my system, it's not only bad for my P&L and my emotional state especially, but then you guys would get you guys would be getting some mixed signals as well, like, oh, how does this system work if I start deviating from it? And so this increased accountability is actually very much welcomed, and it's allowed me to be a better trader for myself and for you guys. So I'm very thankful to be able to have this opportunity, have a channel, have a group like yourselves joining me on a daily basis. All right, so here's the potential trigger if it goes up here. Okay, we're in bullish. Probably going to be stopped out here. We'll see. Yeah, stop loss. Can potentially re-enter here. Imagine the temptation would be to drag out the line higher for a home run, and in this case, miss that pullback. You know, there is a way to try to hit home runs in this system. Doug, when I first started trading this system, I was trading 3 minis, and I would take my 2 of my profits at 5 points. So that was a $100, or no, sorry, that was $200 profit right there that I secured. And then I had the third one just have no target whatsoever, but a trailing stop loss. And sometimes you get these 20, 30 point runners on them. But the problem is, if you start getting into an environment where you're not getting enough runners, you're taking much bigger stop losses, right? So it's a give and take system for sure. Like, I would love to have runners on this system. It's fun, especially, like, I mean, look at this example here. We would have had probably a 15-point runner going all the way down, right? Or this is a great example down here at 1225. Look at this runner we would have had 72 all the way and would have finally stopped you out maybe like around here at 94. So this is a 22-point runner right there. I mean, that is over $400 just in the runner. And I think you can get to the point where you can trade multiple contracts. When you have a bigger account, you no longer have that trailing drawdown that you have to worry about because you've grown your account. You know, but in the meantime, I think just trading one mini is pretty sufficient. So if we continue going higher here, I'm canceling this order. Or sorry, if we can continue going lower, there we go. It continued going lower, then this break closed below the T line. So I'm done with the idea of potentially getting a bounce back higher because we failed to hold that level to go back up. Yeah, I mean, if we all had the power of hindsight, we would all be trillionaires, right? You know, I often think about that idea of having hindsight. Wouldn't that be fun, making all this money? You know exactly what's going to happen in the market, and then you just make, you know, a gazillion dollars. But then there's also a part of me that appreciates the challenge of the uncertainty of it, right? I think that's what makes life interesting and fun sometimes, is not knowing if something is actually going to work or not work. And I think there's a lot of character building in that scenario, right? The ambiguity of life. Because I think it would get boring really quick, right? If you knew everything that was going to happen in the market all the time. I think. Now, granted, you could be making so much money, then you can do other things with that money. Bless other people, invest in real estate, donate to charities, you know, like whatever. And that's probably really fun, or become an angel investor and some other things. Yeah, you would have to figure out what you would do with that money for sure. For sure. All very interesting dilemmas, to say the least. Now, in case you're wondering why we're kind of stuck here, sometimes you have to go to a higher time frame. So here's a 5 minute. You could see we're kind of just hanging out at this 8 EMA on the 5 minute. We're starting to break down a little bit here. So if we do break down, the next area is going to be 800. And if we break down some more, the next area is going to be 781 at this 21 EMA. But you can see buyers are trying to hold this 8 EMA on the 5 minute. So it's good to be conscious of that when you're trading smaller time frames. Yeah, you got to be careful about who you tell that you have money. You hear all that all the time with people who win the lottery, right? Then you have all these distant quote unquote cousins coming up to show up at your door trying to collect. Now, normally I would be taking the short here, but because we saw that on the 5 minute, we are right above that. Now we didn't get a trigger, but if we did, we're right above that 8 EMA on the 5 minute, right there. The probability of us going down is slim, or slimmer, I should say. We're more likely to go up. So I have my bullish order here. So we did trigger higher. Now, I don't know how likely this trade's going to work, just because we've been creating lower highs, right? But let's see. If we're wrong, we only lose 4 points. We're still following our system. What time frame am I currently on? Well, Doug, that's the interesting thing, is the NinZaRenko is its own time frame. So the settings I have on are called here. I guess I can't show you because of the way the streaming software is working. But essentially, I tell NinZaRenko to only start forming new bricks for every after every 2 ticks. You see that? 2 ticks, new brick, 2 ticks, new brick, 2 ticks, new brick, 2 ticks, new brick, right? I also tell it to do a reversal candle if we go and do 12 ticks, which is 4 points. So if we start going 4 points in the opposite direction, change the color and show me what that looks like. So this current setting on the NinZaRenko is 12.2. If I go here and I make it a little bit more, if I increase the threshold, for example, it's called trend threshold, and I increase the brick size. So the 12 is how big the brick is. And then the threshold right now is at 2. Let's just say I made it 4. Let's just see what that looks like. Now you could see it looks a little bit different. We have less bricks, right? Because I'm not forming another brick until we get 4 ticks in one direction. It looks a little bit different. You can also double those numbers and have it look like, you got to play around with it. You can have it be 24 and 4. Look at what that looks like now. Much bigger bricks. But I'll go back to the 12 and 2. That's the one I've had the most success on. And there are YouTube videos that explain what would be optimal for a particular instrument, because every instrument's going to be different. I'm not going to trade the 12.2 Renko on the ES. I'm going to trade the 4.2 because the ES moves a lot smaller, right? Even at my level, seems like if I give money, I start giving tons of requests for more from the same place I give it, as well as hybrid of others. Interesting. Yeah, I guess if you are donating money or if you're giving it to a private party, whether they're family or close friends, you probably want to see if they're going to keep that information private. And honestly, privacy these days is very tricky. I feel like with cybersecurity measures having to be tightened and your personal information getting leaked out to the web from these hackers, it's just getting a lot harder for us to have any sort of privacy these days. Yeah, I know this thing has trailed and has not pulled back one bit, right? So that we would have had a nice little runner on this one for sure. In fact, we're making brand new highs on the day. If we go back to the 5-minute, zoom out, our next levels are gonna be all the way up here at 874.75. You could see we have the zone up here. I might actually want to go ahead and mark that and copy it in our Renko. So it's not until all the way up there. So we have a long ways to go before we hit that. Yeah, it's all good, Doug, you know. But what's cool is we're now only down $395, right? So we've essentially been turning things around since we were down 1,200. So we're kind of on a run now. We're on a $800 run. So that's good. Imagine if we didn't have those stop losses earlier, you could see how powerful trading the Renko is. You would have had $800 in your pocket. All right, we're coming up into another potential area of a trade here around the T line. The other thing I also want to point out about the Renko too is you want to be trading it during a time where you are able to take those trades based on your reflexes. If you try to trade the Renko right at market open at 9:30, it moves way too fast. If extreme volatility enters the market, like an FOMC meeting, for example, which by the way you probably shouldn't be trading when Powell is speaking and FOMC and all that. The Renko moves like crazy. So the time like right now, it's actually a pretty decent speed because you're able to identify where the next area of a potential trade is going to be, and you have the time to actually put in your order to get in. Yes, I can save all of my settings and I can share that with you. You probably do need to download the NinZaRenko indicator. When you finally do download Ninja, let me know and I can help you get that set up. I'll even show you how to do it from scratch. It won't take more than 15-20 minutes doing it from scratch. I can even set up a color scheme that might be easier on your eyes too. I just happen to like this blue and pink better than the black and white or the green and red. Yeah, give me an email and we'll exchange contact info and set up some time. Yes, you can practice these after hours because in the simulation phase, it's called playback. They have a playback mode and you can tell it to go exactly to the time and the day you want it to go and replay, and it would replay it in real time. And that's probably the best way to practice. That's how I practiced Renko when I first started using it, which was about maybe a little under 2 years ago. But I will say Renko back then, I just didn't have the right system to trade it. Now I've been trying to play around with it. Even the last few weeks, I've been trying to make adjustments and seeing what's going to work. And one of the biggest adjustments that I made was to minimize my stop loss to 4 points and make my winners twice as big as my losers. Because initially, if you recall, when I first showed the stream Renko about maybe a week and a half ago, we were risking 7 to make 8 because I wanted to play it safer. I wanted to wait for 3 of these bullish or 4 of these bullish bricks to go long, right? But I found myself getting stopped out a lot and losing 7 points over and over and over. So I said, you know what? If it's going to reverse at this area, you might as well only risk 4 points. And if it doesn't do it, then you only lose 80 bucks. Yeah, it's almost an entry. I'm keeping track of it. So far, if we break to the upside here, it's still a viable trade to go back up. Right there, I got it. Okay, this one didn't work. That's okay. All right, now we don't take any entries. Bullish. Yes, I did. Just one tick below where the reversal candle is. All right, we're approaching, excuse me, we're approaching 850 here. We did not get a reversal, so we're going to let this thing just keep going higher. At this point, I'm still bullish, so I would like for it to keep going a little bit higher, come back, retest 850, and then we can go further up. Now, I have been noticing price action sometimes, and this, I'm trying to contemplate whether or not you would count that as a legit pullback and then you continue higher. It's just not as clean. So yeah, Doug just said we need the pullback. Correct. I would love to see a pullback back to 850 and go back up. Yeah, I think this is a really easy system to teach people, and I don't think they really need to know a lot about trading per se. It actually turns into a little bit of a video game because you're looking for those levels, you're looking for the bounce, and you're looking to get in. Yeah, let's see what happens. All right, we're getting that pullback rather. Do you at least have a USB you can connect to your keyboard to make it work in case your battery is having issues? Speaking of which, I probably need to plug in my keyboard as well. Would hate to have the keyboard stop working in the middle of a trade. What kind of keyboard do you have? Like a Logitech? Oh, don't tell me my Ninja froze again. No, no, it's not frozen. Okay, it's just price is moving really slow. Oh boy. I used to have a ton of Logitech keyboards, really high-end ones too for like gaming. And they've served me well over the years. I've switched to a new company though, just really maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I love this new keyboard. I'll have to send you guys a pic. It's a little bit more minimalist. It still has a number pad. I need a number pad for really all the work that I do. But it's got this really cool color. It's black and brown, and the brown is wood. And it matches my my desk setup. And price is taking its sweet time trying to pull back here. Okay. Yeah, sometimes that will happen. What is that term? If an immovable object meets a force? God, I am butchering this saying. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It has a lot to do with defense and offense. Thought with Trump maybe speaking at 1 o'clock, we would have gotten a little bit more volatility in the market. That doesn't seem to be the case at all. Well, let's see if there's any other news events today. Although I doubt it. Yeah, nothing for the rest of the day. Let's see what else we're looking towards here. I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this tab and then look at it from the 15-minute time frame. And it's that same level that I was talking about earlier. You could see it here. We're trying to get to that 874 level, 875. Let me rename this to 15 minutes. Back to the Renko we go. Have you been able to hear the music okay too, or is there music that you can hear in the background, or just my voice? Slightly, okay. I don't want the music to be overbearing, but I want there to be some music to add a little bit of flavor to the stream. If you're wondering what this dotted black line is up here, it's a prior all-time high. I don't know if it's really makes sense to keep it on here. I'm looking at my tick chart too. We've exceeded this version of the all-time high, so I think I can probably remove this one too. And that 15-minute level, 5-minute levels all the way up there. Be interesting to see what happens at that level. Do we get a reversal, or do we continue to push higher? You found it. Glad. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Yes, that is what I was thinking in my head. Would you consider that a paradox? Or maybe I'm not using the word paradox correctly, because it's just not possible, right? Okay, we're coming back down to 850. Let's zoom in and get back on the action here. Well, we are making higher highs and higher lows. Okay, we're getting movement. We're approaching that 15-minute level. Question is, do we take a reversal if we get it up there? I don't know. Or are we going to get a premature pullback here? All right, this might be that pullback. Sometimes you start seeing profit taking before the actual target. At this point, I'm not going to be taking this bearish pullback here. It may be a fake out and actually go hit the target up there at 875. I'm going to wait for some actual real areas of interest that we can come into. Thanks for that clarification on the paradox. Yeah, cannot exist, right? I'm hoping we start getting some more movement in the market when we hit 2 and 2:30. We're going to hit 2 o'clock in 3 minutes. Okay, we have about 15 seconds before the 2 o'clock candle. Let's see what happens. And sometimes you might get a lot of major movement at the top of the hour because you're getting a bunch of new candles formed, right? A 60-minute candle, 30-minute candle, 15-minute candle, so on and so forth. All right, so we are getting some movement. What's nice about the 850 level is that you also have the T line right underneath it as well. So we could potentially get sort of twice the bounce power, if you will, for a lack of a better word. Doesn't mean I'm going to double down on my trade size, but because it could still not work, right? I just would like for it to come down and actually test T-line or the 850, either or. And not just take off without us, you know? We also have the 8 EMA exponential moving average right here at 8 at the same area too. So, and just like that, it went through all those levels. This is why no matter how good it looks on paper, you don't want to go crazy over a setup. At this point, we're at no man's land. We just need to figure out what price wants to do here. That is the question, Doug. Is this a trigger? Sometimes. But now you're taking a bigger risk. 6-point risk instead of 4. But sometimes. I'm assuming you were talking about bearish trigger or bullish trigger. Which one were you trying to point out? I don't take these as triggers. I actually would prefer to take the trigger off of a brick, a regular size brick, rather than these larger reversal candles. That way your risk still stays around 4 points. And you could see here, if we would have taken the trade off of this brick here, we would have gotten stopped out. Now this one ended up working to the downside, but who's to say? Why would we follow this rule here and not follow it here, right? And so I just told myself, you know what? I would prefer to see a clean brick layout in order for me to take that trigger rather than the reversal candles themselves. So here what I want to see is a bunch of bricks, evenly placed bricks going all the way up here, touching 850 or going slightly above it, not going too much further up than that, and then we get that reversal trigger. That's what I'm looking for. Honestly, I don't know if we'll get that look. We'll see. Because if you look at the 5-minute, we are starting to dump a little bit. You can see this big bearish candle that's taken out 1, 2, 3, 4 of the last candles, potentially the 5th one if it keeps going down. And we finally broke through. We have 36 seconds left. Are we going to actually close below the 8 EMA? We haven't since 12:10 today. But even when this one closed below the 5-minute EMA, we still ended up going higher. So the sentiment is still bullish. The fact that we're breaking down and we're trading, potentially going to close. Yeah, we have about 4 seconds left. Yeah, we closed below the 8 EMA. And let's just see how that looks like on the Renko. At this point, because we're so close to 850, I'd rather it actually retest 850, not just the T line. It's in a tricky zone right now for sure. If we go below this wick here, we would trigger the 5-minute bearish candle lower. And that's exactly what just happened. Okay. Well, our next area of interest is not for a while if we keep going down, and that's 800. Okay, we are sinking. That's a good question. I don't think the NQ. I've heard the NQ sort of behave that way around the 20 level and the 80 level, but I haven't heard anything about 40s and 30s, 60s and 70s, and 90s, and 10s. VWAP is still there. We are all the way down here is VWAP, 617. We are basically 1.5 standard deviations above where the VWAP is. This is +1 standard deviation. That's +2. We're sandwiched in between both of them. And if you're wondering why we're getting a little bit of a bounce here, if you go to the 5-minute, which is something you do have to pay attention to, we're bouncing off that 21 EMA right there on the 5-minute. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm probably going to wait for it to come back up to the T line, which isn't too far away, and then we can go short again. Okay, let's see if we get it. Nope. Wow. This technically is a bear short here, but we have the T line in the way, so I didn't take this one. At this point, I wanted to go a little bit further up, pull back, and then I can go up again. When you start trading these enough, you kind of know what you're looking for. So like this would be the next bullish signal here. Or this one. Now this one. Now we cancel. Never got the bounce. That could have been an entry down here at 1409 because you're basing it off the 5-minute EMA. And the 5-minute EMAs do have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Influence, maybe, for lack of a better word. People pay attention to the 5-minute EMA, so we could have potentially taken this bullish trade here if you were paying attention to the 5-minute. Now we're sandwiched in between these two zones. You really don't want to be taking a trade in the middle of two zones. Yeah, it would break a lot of rules. And honestly, like, I'm trying my best to be consistent with my rule base. I might break them from time to time, but it might be by accident or it might be out of frustration. At this point, we're looking bearish. We probably wanted to go a little bit above the T line and then come back down. but not this. This is not a trigger. I wanted to go further up. So now we can take this one. Bearish here. All right, we're in. Okay, it didn't work. But it followed all the rules. Another setup there. Well, that stinks. 2 stops in a row. We're going to let these go here because of that T-lines underneath us. Okay, at this point I wanted to come back down to 850. Okay, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. Now we just want that bouncing up for 8 points. Okay, we're in. I'll add another contract here. Let's see if we can get this move up. No, because I have 2 contracts, I might break one off and see if we can get a runner to test that area up here. We might get stopped out though. This trade, we'll get back in. I really feel like it wants to do it. I mean, I could be wrong. Okay, I love this bounce off 850. Now let's just go. We have momentum. Let's go. Keep going higher. Come on. It's like so close, yet so far away. Okay, we got like 3 points on that. It's a little frustrating. Yeah, I did make a little because now I'm only down 584. I was down like 700 something. Yeah, that's correct. Once the trail goes above my entry level, it's guaranteed profit. I'm just kind of surprised it doesn't want to just go. Yep, these are video games that pay you. Correct. So I'm marking where we stopped before, but the bigger target's up here at 875. Okay, we are approaching the T line again. Okay, let's see if we get a bounce here. Okay, we're in. All right, I went ahead and added contracts. I'm really hoping we do get this bounce now, but I just doubled my risk, so it doesn't look like it. It's just stalling. Oh, okay. We're gonna try this again. We got the trigger again. Okay, it worked. Now we're only down 400 bucks. Definitely has been a grind today, to say the least. But, you know, you're seeing the system in action. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think we are picking up some momentum though, so that's good. Yeah, that's a good point, Doug. Let's look at the regular chart. This is the 1 minute. 1 minute chart. This would be your clear signal to go up here, right? This big bullish candle, but it's a big candle. It's 13 points. Your tick chart. would have had your trigger around the same area as the 1 minute. But the Renko, you're able to spot those reversals a lot sooner. You know what's funny? We're only supposed to be down $150, but we're down $402 because of fees. When you trade something like the Renko and you start over trading, those fees can really add up. So we're talking about over $252 in fees today. Ideally, we would have been done trading the Renko the second hour of our trading session. We wouldn't have had to incur as many fees as we did. Wow, 470 trades. That is... You took 470 trades or you paid 470 in fees? Oh yeah, 2 accounts. That'll do it. That will do it. And you were also trading, I think if I recall correctly, you were trading 2 contracts per account, right? So you're trading 4 contracts at one time. That'll add up. Doug, that is a good question. Do I get cheaper fees because I have the lifetime? Only if I'm trading my actual real money. When I'm trading the prop firm money, my fee schedule is based on Tradeovate, which is the provider that Apex uses, the brokerage account, whatever you want to call them, firm to trade fees. Now, Apex offers 2 brokerage, 3 actually. They provide Tradeovate, which is what I use, Rhythmic, which is what I originally used, but Rhythmic is the most expensive in terms of fees, so I stopped using Rhythmic. And then they also use a third party they started partnering up with, I want to say a little under a year ago, called Wealth Charts. They're probably the cheapest, but you have to use the Wealth Charts online GUI interface on their website. I can't use Ninja to trade Wealth Charts. So I want to trade using Ninja, and Ninja is compatible with both Rhythmic and Tradeovate, and Tradeovate is the cheaper of the 2 options. So I now have opted to work and only get accounts that are related to Tradeovate, so I can link it to my Ninja. Yes, Mark has been trying out wealth charts for his trading style and for what he likes to do, because he likes to trade higher time frames. Wealth charts is perfect for him. But you know, I'm a high volume trader, with especially with the Renko. I can't trade the Renko on wealth charts. I don't think there is a NinZaRenko setting on wealth charts. And also, I like to get in and out. So for example, you can see on my screen right now, I can buy anytime. I could sell anytime on the actual screen. These are all tools that are add-ons to NinjaTrader that I bought. I don't think you have that capability in wealth charts, unfortunately. And then I love the ATM strategy in Ninja as well. Now I think you can set OCO orders, which are bracket orders in wealth charts. I haven't played around enough with wealth charts to know what it's capable of. But I just know that NinjaTrader has been around for so long. A lot of people, a lot of parties and companies have developed tools for them to make it easier for your trading. And I just like the ability to use hotkeys and get things in and out. Now, maybe you have that ability with wealth charts. I haven't played around with it, but it's just what I've been used to at this point with Ninja. And also, if I'm looking to trade my actual real capital that's outside of prop firm money, I can trade my NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader also acts as a brokerage, not just a platform. I trade with NinjaTrader as well with my real capital alongside my prop firm money. I do a little bit of both. Yeah, they've been around for so long. I mean, this NinjaTrader version is version 8. But I mean, version 8's been around 2 or 3 years. So you can imagine the life cycle of a version of NinjaTrader is probably 3 to 5 years, right? And they've been around probably, gosh, when was NinjaTrader first introduced into the market? I'll have to ask AI real quick and let's see what they say. So the first version of NinjaTrader was released in 2003. So the NinjaTrader 7 was when NinjaTrader started becoming more widely available. That was 2009. And then the version we're using now is NinjaTrader 8, launched in 2016. So this version of NinjaTrader has been around for almost 9 years, right? But, or maybe a little over 9 years. But version 8 has been updated so many times in the last few years. So it feels like, even though it still has the number 8 next to it, it's really a lot more mature than the original NinjaTrader 8 that came out in 2016. So the question came up, are you up to the point where you can make a living doing this without other work to fill the gap? Yes. If you do the math, and let's just say, even if you just had 5 prop firm accounts, and you're looking to make, let's just say $300 a day for each of those accounts, right? Or let's just even take one account and we can just do the math. If you make $300 a day, and you multiply that by 250 trading days a year, that's $75,000. Now, I have a consulting background. 75K is not that much money, but it is. The sad truth is 75,000 is around the median price for an individual in the US, right? So you could theoretically replace the median price of $75,000 trading just one account, $300 a day. But now let's say you're trading 5 accounts and you're able to get $300 times 5. Well, now multiply 75K times 5. Now you're talking $375,000 a year. Now you're starting to enter really the top tax bracket in the US, I think you have to be making a household income of at least $350,000 a year. So to answer your question, Doug, yes. You just have to manage multiple accounts. Make sure you're taking payouts on those accounts. It takes a long time to do, not because you don't have a system, not because you have to learn. I think the psychology aspect is probably the most important thing. It's something that I'm still struggling with. There was a point in 2023 and 2024 that I developed a system that had I just followed all my rules, I would have made money every single day, but I didn't because I was being stupid. So I told myself I really need to work on that. Now, I will say this year has probably been a lot harder to day trade because the volatility has increased. I want to say when the tariff news came out in April, the market was trading too big. The candles were too wide. So it made it really hard to use my older system. So I had to make some modifications. I think this is the beauty of Renko though, is you can pretty much just risk the same amount each time in a trade. It's consistent. It's uniformed. This is a potential bullish setup here. And so it didn't matter how big the market got, as long as you can get that consistency. This is why I'm gravitating towards trading the Renko the second half of our stream. So the first half, we are trading a legitimate strategy that I've developed over the years. It works. It's just the setups are few and far between. So you don't necessarily have enough time to hit your goals on all four groups. So I wanted to create a system that allowed me to make money in all four groups and not take a lot of time to do it, because another appeal to trading is the time freedom you get. And ideally, I'm not normally trading the full trading day like today. I'm normally done before lunch and move on about my day. But today's a little bit different just because I wanted to bring up our eval to a reasonable level because of that prop firm challenge and show you how to do it. And two, frankly, I was surprised at the number of stop losses we had this morning. It was a little abnormal and on the higher side. So if you can work on your mindset, have a consistent strategy that you can follow over the long run, the consistency will come. It'll be almost automatic. I went ahead and I added here. I'm looking at the 5 minute. We're bouncing off that 8 EMA. Yeah, it's all about base hits, and I hope you can see that today. The strategy around Renko really consists of multiple base hits, high probability setup base hits over and over and over. I mean, if people are looking to do this over the long run, especially as for a living. Okay, that was a stop loss. That sucked. You also want to save up money to do this as well. I wouldn't quit your day job. I mean, if you have another source of income that's coming in and you're able to have the flexibility to do both, I say keep both. Don't quit your day job. Have multiple streams of income. I mean, the average millionaire has 7 forms of income coming in to their household. And I believe trading is one of them. I mean, the average millionaire is engaging in the market in one shape or another, whether it's investing, whether it's swing trading, whether it's day trading. or whether they hired someone to actually manage their money for them. And then the other thing too that might be a little shocking, if you don't have the cushion of your day job and you start trading and you say, oh my God, I actually have to make this work. That adds a ton of pressure that you didn't know you had before. Yeah, for sure. I mean, this has the potential to replace your main income multiple times over, for sure. The potential is definitely there. And it takes time. I mean, it takes time for your brain to get used to it from a mindset perspective. It takes time for you to learn a system. It takes time for you to just be consistent with it, not let losers bother you. It takes time for all those things to come together. But I believe they finally do if you stick to it and you stick with it. Not stick to it, stick with it. Believe you'll get there. At this point, I want to go back up north, but I really want to go a little bit higher, retest the T-line, then go back high again. I do believe the journey's worth it. Yes, John, spot on, bro. The journey's totally worth it. I mean, not only are you going to learn a system that helps you make money, but you're going to conquer your inner demons and things that you didn't know your inner junk, things you didn't know you had. You just have to deal with to help you become a better person, the person that God created you to be. I call that person the divine version of yourself. Yeah, we are getting close to 3 p.m. That's typically known as the power hour. You should be seeing a lot more movement around 3 o'clock as well. Yeah, I would love to get green before the end of the day too. That's the goal. Yeah, good point, Doug. I'm not going to force it. Obviously, whatever we end up at the end of the day is going to be what we look towards working the next day. Okay, we finally broke that area I was telling you guys about. We are getting that reversal there. Now I would love for us to come back to the T line and go back up. Pretty straightforward. Okay, we're approaching. Okay, I don't want us to go up now. I want us to come back down. I have the one standard deviation level is way down here at 779. The second standard deviation level here is at 928. There's 3 standard deviation levels that I have based on VWAP. +1, +2, and +3 all the way up here. And then you have the -1, -2, and -3. -1, -2, and -3. All the way down there. Okay, we are potentially getting a retest here. Okay, potential reversal here. Go ahead and add an exact line if it wants to come down. Otherwise, I just want it to go up, obviously. Okay, we've locked in at least a small profit. Will we hit 8 points? We did. Yay. All right, let's see if it wants to do it again. Okay. No trigger, no trade. Okay, cancel. Okay, we're approaching 50 again. We might be taking a bearish setup here to go down to 50 if we retest the T line and go back down. Okay, let's see if we get that reversal here. Okay, we're in. Okay, let's keep going. There we go, 8 points. And now we can ride it the other way. Okay, got stopped out. Okay, we're in bullish now. Okay, we're moving our way up. Okay, let's keep going. There we go, 8 points. And now we are only down $185. So we've been We've essentially made $1,000 of profit since we started the stream the second time today. Is another way to think about it. The bearish trigger here if we get it. Okay, I'm in bearish. I don't know if this one's gonna work. We'll see. Follows all the rules though. Can we get it to come back down is the question. Okay, this looks promising. At this point, it should sink, so I'm going to go ahead and move it to break even. I really don't want it to reverse again. Okay, well, I'm out. Slight profit. Question is, does I want to do it again? Let's find out. I'm going to cancel it. Looking at the 5 minute, let me show you guys what I'm looking at here. We are above that EMA right there. I feel like we're going to shoot back up. I could be wrong. All right, so I managed that trade really well. That would have been a stop loss. At this point, I have a bullish bias, so I would like for us to come back down, go a little bit up, come back down, retest the T line, and go back up. Okay, here we go. Can we get a bullish bounce here? We're right at that 8 EMA on the 5-minute as well. So if there was ever a time to get a bounce, you have 2 reasons to get a bounce up. And we're in an uptrend, yes. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, cancel that order. All right, 850 could be our next bounce area. What's nice about 850 is that it's also on the 21 EMA on the 5-minute as well. I hope you guys are having fun watching this. I'm having fun trading the Renko. The Renko is a lot of fun to trade. It could get a little frustrating, though, if you do take 2 or 3 stop losses in a row, especially in strong areas of potential bounce, and it doesn't bounce. And it was frustrating trading this strategy this morning. But I've just showed you guys how powerful the math and the strategy works. We were down $1,200, and we're now only down $179. Power of consistency. We were talking about that earlier. And the power of not going on tilt and not giving up. I will take this just because we did bounce off the 8 EMA, or sorry, the 21 EMA on the 5-minute. I could be wrong here and I could get stopped out, but I'm willing. Okay, well maybe we get another entry. Okay. See if we get the bounce now. And if not, we cancel the order. Okay, we're in. Okay. I did move it to break even just because I have 2 contracts on this one. I don't want to take a bigger stop loss, so this trade's either going to work or not work at this point. I would love for it to work, though. We are being sandwiched in between... let me show you what it looks like. In between these 2 EMAs on the 5-minute. That's why it didn't work. Okay, well, see what happens. Maybe we get another shot at 850. I don't like that we're sandwiched in between 2 EMAs on the 5-minute, though. Yeah, you know, yeah, it didn't work, but I still made a little bit of profit, and you'd be surprised, a little bit of profit adds up quite a bit at the end of the day, especially when you do hundreds of these trades. So, all right, let's try this again. Although I think we're getting more of a bearish look on the 5-minute. All right, we're canceling this order. We have this huge inverted hammer now on the 5-minute. Let me show you guys what it looks like. Right there. So now I'm probably got a little bit of a bearish bias now. Yep, looks like we are going down. Trying to mark my levels to the downside here. We have this level and we have this level. Okay, we are starting to get some aggressive selling. Trying to see where my next level is. We don't have a level for a while. Maybe this low here. It stinks when you don't have a key area you can bounce off of. Yeah, it's around 823.25. I don't know if that's going to be a key bounce area or not. It's not a universal. Well, I mean, it is the low, one of the major lows of today. I don't know if I would put a lot of weight into it, though. I would probably just wait until we get to like a standard deviation level or something. And the ES is bouncing off of a standard deviation level right now, but it doesn't have a lot of room to the upside. We could go back up to 850 and bounce lower. Yeah, I was thinking about taking that lower too. I'm just gonna be patient. I hope it works out for you. Looks like it's at least you should be at least at break even, I think, at this point, right? You got at least 5 points. All right, good job. Nice trade. All right, that was the level I was talking about earlier. Do we get a bounce at this level or not? Higher. And well, we'll see. I'm not going to take it. So, just curious. I guess it did bounce off that level higher. Yep, I'm going to wait too. I'm going to wait till we get to a major area. We're not really far from the next major area. It's going to be 800. I did take a bearish trade off the ES NinZaRenko. You guys can't see it on the screen. So I'm actually hoping it goes down. I like that the NQ is going down now. Should help the ES go down as well. Because the NQ probably wants to go down to 800. But now it's reversing, so we'll see. Sometimes, Doug. Sometimes I trade the ES too. I primarily trade the NQ though. I feel like the price action on the NQ is a little bit. It's a lot more volatile, so it helps me actually hit the 8 points. The ES is more reliable though. It just depends on what system you're trading. See if I could show you the ES on here. So you could see what I'm looking at. And then I need to change the settings to ES. I got stopped out, but this was the ES trade I took. This one going down. Okay, we're back in a bearish ES trade. I'll show you. I took it right there. Bricks are smaller. They're 4 and 2 instead of 12 and 2. ES moves a lot smaller than the NQ does. What's nice is if I get 4 points on the ES, that's $200. My ATM strategy is also slightly different too for the ES. If we go to 2 points, I have it automatically move to break even. Because 2 points on the ES is similar to 5 points on the NQ. I would love to see a flush now to the downside. It's having a really hard time actually moving down. I don't know why. But you can see that ES moves a lot slower than the NQ. Alright, meanwhile, I'll keep an eye on the NQ. NQ is not at an interesting level anyway. The NQ is starting to flush, so... I don't like what the NQ is doing because the ES is following to the upside. You can see we're about to get stopped out here. That sucks. But we are potentially getting a trade here on the NQ. Okay, we're in bearish. Would love for this to work. Flush, flush, flush. Okay, there we go. Keep going down. We'll go ahead and see if we can get a runner on this. Put it down to 800 if it wants to go. Okay, we got one contract off. We have a runner. This one runner here, if it can keep going, can actually put us green for the day, and we can actually call it quits. Just wanted to go all the way down to 800. Let's go. Keep going. Keep going. You got this. You could see the P&L changing at the top left corner of your screen. All right. And just like that, guys, we are up $106 on the day after being down $1,200. That was quite the grind. So we started the stream back up around, I want to say 12:45-ish. So for 3 hours we made $1,300 in about 3 hours. Not bad at all. Oh man, I'm worn out. I don't normally trade for this long, but I just wanted to show you guys that the system works. Yes, Doug, I made $106.80 on each of the accounts I was trading. I traded 3 other accounts with this one, so that's still a $400 day. Not bad. So cool, guys. I am going to go ahead and sign off. This was fun. I had a ton of fun with all of you guys. Thank you for staying on this long. It shows me your level of commitment. Yeah, that is 100K a year. That's correct. So we're going to do this again tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9:20 Eastern, 10 minutes before market opens. Hope to see you guys then. Have a great rest of your afternoon and evening, and we'll talk tomorrow.